Hello, divine beings of light. My name is Katerley. I'm the creator of She and the Serpent, and this is an introductory video to who I am, why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I care about what I'm working on, but mostly it's a conversation about self-acceptance and why it's so important. I'm out here enjoying this lovely day with my son Juniper, who is quite a sleepy baby right now. So I am 21 years old. This is my first kid, my baby. I am happily married, living in an apartment right now after a few different living situations. But the crazy thing is that a year ago I was in a dorm, and now I have a family out in the quote-unquote real world, because as everyone will tell you, college obviously isn't a real place, mostly just a daycare for adults. But I think that underestimates some of the work that gets done at universities. Anyways, I was working at my university as a student researcher. I was a history major plus English major. And I was feeling sort of spiritually bereft because my spirituality has always been super important in my life. I was raised in the Church of Christ, which is pretty intense, traditional, conservative Christians. I live in Texas, so Southern Church of Christ Christians. And I enjoyed my religion whenever I was younger as much as I could. It was a huge integral part of me. My relationship with God was very personal to me. But the faith itself and the people I was surrounded by oppressed me and restricted me from being who I was, and also kept me sort of in the dark, being dishonest to myself. And so I eventually broke away from Christianity in high school. And by college, I accepted my spiritual identity. I consider myself a pantheist. Not that labels are very necessary, but I believe that the all is one, and one is all. Everything is energy. We're all energy. And I also believe in magic, because everything is energy, but everything is magic. Consciousness, changes, energy changes. It's all just different forms. It's all energy vibrating at different frequencies. It can be manipulated, but it can't be created or destroyed. It can only change. And I consider that magic. I consider breathing magic. I consider digestion, the transmutation of matter into ATP, into energy that your body can use to survive. That's magic. Even the way that plants absorb the sun and that we absorb the sun. The sun is back here somewhere. It's magic. We all are requiring this source energy to survive. And that's just magical to me. We're all constantly in God, being God, co-creating God, and that's our reality. But anyways, I was in college and I was thinking about all of this, and I felt like I wasn't being true to myself, because my spirituality has always been at the center of who I am. It's the most important thing. What could be more important than our role in the universe? But I was a student researcher finishing up college, and I was in a serious relationship, but I didn't really know what I was going to be doing for me. Whenever I graduated, I didn't know what I was going to be doing that fed my spirit and that contributed to helping other people in the world. And a lot of my ideas were so crazy and out of the box as far as other people were concerned. And even though I've been a chronic overachiever, at least of other people's expectations in my life, largely due to my upbringing, which was extremely strict and perfectionistic in nature, authoritarian parents and all that. I was like, how am I going to achieve this greatness? I want to change the world. I want to eliminate poverty and homelessness and hunger, because these things have no reason to exist. I want us to have peace. What can I do to contribute to people having peace? And that's been a question I've been asking myself a lot. And especially where I come from a household that was abusive in every way that you can imagine abuse. And that's been a huge thing for me to heal from. And most of my life, I've been able to utilize the painful experiences I've had to help other people. And I wanted to find a way to continue doing that into my adulthood, perhaps on a larger scale, perhaps more involved, but less personal, as far as just I don't know, high school, two teenagers crying about what life hasn't given them and the things life has dealt them. I wanted to be able to help people in a more positive way that isn't just centered in the depression and the ability to listen to another person through the difficulties, but rather to actually help a person lift themselves up into a higher, more positive, healthier place, which is what I'm working on doing for myself. So, beginning the story again, She and the Serpent was a concept that I sort of channeled starting last September 2019. And I have a very personal relationship with the goddess Inanna. She's a Sumerian goddess, warrior goddess. I've posted about her sometimes if you haven't heard about her before. But she came to me in a sort of meditation that I was doing, almost a trance state. And I decided to practice some automatic writing. I wanted to, spirit communication is a big part of my craft. And I was like, I need to talk to somebody. And so I decided to welcome spirits who had only positive and healing intentions for me, and someone who had a message for me. And she introduced herself, and we've been talking ever since. So she is partially the eponymous She and the Serpent, although she is also just an homage to the divine feminine, which resides in everything in all of us. And who has been deeply transformational in my life. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, as well as rape whenever I was an adolescent. And my sexuality and my journey through sexual healing has been enormous, and I couldn't have made it without the divine feminine in my life. And the Serpent was inspired by Ouroboros, who some people also consider an extension of Kundalini energy, which is also representative or connected to the divine feminine. And the Ouroboros obviously symbolizes rebirth and regeneration, transformation, growth and healing, all of these things. And those are two things I needed in my life, and that I thought that other people could utilize as well, that might be beneficial. So I was like, well, I want to start something. I want to help people heal themselves. I want to heal humanity. I want to create safe, sacred spaces for women. And these are all things that are still in the working, because what was true for me at the time is that I had these big plans, but I hadn't done the work on myself yet. And I wanted to just fast forward to whenever I was that fully self-embodied, healthy person who could do all the things that I wanted to do. But I still had a poor relationship with receiving. I didn't believe that I deserved abundance, even though I wanted abundance and I wanted to help other people claim their abundance. And even though I encouraged self-empowerment, I wasn't entirely empowering myself in the way that I was living, even in my relationship. And in the years since then, there have been lots of highs and lots of lows. Highs include my son, who is just over 3 months old now, and just a healthier family life, although that itself has been a challenge to create, but the universe has blessed me. And there have been other tribulations. My cat died in December, stopped speaking to my mother because she was not a positive contributor to my growth. And our relationship was toxic, and in order to actually acknowledge myself and be true to myself the way I encourage other people to, I had to stop engaging in a toxic relationship so I could become the better me. And here we are in 2020, and it's almost over. And where is She and the Serpent at? I only recently started posting again on my Instagram. And that mostly had to do, again, with my feeling of shame for ever stopping and for not achieving the things that I had wanted to on the time scale, which was ridiculously short, that I'd initially wanted to achieve it on. And here's where the conversation comes to self-acceptance. in order to achieve anything that is truly important to you, you have to believe you have the ability to make it happen. You have to believe that you're capable of it. And you have to believe that you're worthy of your own dream. Until then, you will continue planting not just energies, but actual physical obstacles in your path that you're manifesting and co-creating because of your lack of self-belief. Not accepting yourself is self-sabotage. And so in order to truly embody everything that you know you can, everything that you know is possible for you, it's essential that you embrace yourself. And so I've been working on that. 2020, my only real New Year's resolution was radical self-trust. And so a lot of the changes I've been making in my life just to get it to a place that's peaceful and satisfying for me have been, radical changes for me, but even just speaking my mind all of the time or more of the time and saying what I need to say instead of worrying about whose toes I'm going to step on. And that extends into the online community. My family, as I said before, they have a Christian background, and here I am calling myself a witch, a mystic. I call myself a goddess because it's not sacrilegious to recognize what you are. Everyone is divine. And it's a lie to believe that the divine is something that's outside of you. You're an integral part of it. And you embody it just with your magical existence. And that's another thing, the belief in magic. There are a lot of people who I know and who are still somewhat keeping up with what I do. And I was worried. I'm like, Katerley, this is an ego thing. So Katerley, the ego self, has like this image, this reputation as someone who's like knowledgeable and kind, who gets things done, an intellectual, she's passionate. And so what does it mean for Katerley to believe in magic, or for Katerley to do something but it's flawed, it's not perfect, or it doesn't happen exactly the way that she planned it or said it would? And I had all these concerns about like the way that people were going to look at me, and the ways that they might judge me, or the way that they might think less of me. But that's projection. Everything is you. The universe is you. And so whenever you experience something externally, supposedly, that's actually just a mirror of your internal world. And these are things I know. And so I've had to have the hard conversation with myself lately, being like, you're still not accepting yourself. Because if you accept yourself, one, you're not anticipating rejection. You're not having the fear of failure that, due to ego issues, I've tended to worry about. But instead, you can see that there is divine love for you, within you, and it's enough for everything that you would like to accomplish. It's enough to get you through everything, every aspect of this existence. And believing that other people might reject you just means that you are rejecting yourself. Believing that other people might not get you just shows that you have parts of yourself that you're not entirely comfortable with, that you don't necessarily express understanding and compassion towards. And the only way to solve that problem is to be compassionate with yourself and to express yourself the way that you want to. Because if you're tiptoeing in fear, if any part of you isn't being expressed, that's a part of you that you are choosing to withhold, and that is thus like atrophying, stagnating, becoming more and more frustrated because of your lack of acknowledgement and acceptance. And these things, they like dwell within us, and they can destroy us because we're destroying ourselves. So instead, we have to build ourselves up by giving each part of ourselves a platform and interface with the rest of the world. And so She and the Serpent is sort of my courageous step forward into my spirituality as a public statement, making my stance for myself, not being ashamed of who I am, and hopefully helping other people who are like me, who feel the way I do, feel comfortable embracing themselves and being true about who they are. So that we can all move forward. Because I used to think that the things I did didn't matter, and that they weren't important. But I still cared about everything and everyone. I used to be so angry getting into fights with my mother, who would just say things about social issues or problems. She's like, oh, well, that's the way the world is. You can't do anything about that to change it. And I have the complete opposite viewpoint, because there's always something you can do. The bad things that exist in the world only exist because no one's doing anything about them, or because more people are contributing to them, even if that's through complacency, rather than fixing them, rather than healing them. And I used to think I might go a political route with my life just because it's natural to me with my activist inclinations and such. But something I've realized lately too is that you create the things you resist. The universe is made up of dualities, polarities, but it's all the same thing on a spectrum. And whenever you get to one extreme end of the spectrum or another, they look essentially identical. Think about energy vibrating. At the highest end of the spectrum, it's vibrating so fast you can't even tell. It's not even perceptible, so it looks like it's completely still. On the opposite side of the spectrum, the energy is vibrating so slowly that it is also imperceptible, and it seems to be entirely still. And nevertheless, on both sides of the spectrum and everywhere in between, there's just energy vibrating. So good and evil, whatever we prescribe those to be culturally, religiously, socially, individually, they only exist through our co-creation. And if you want to live in a world of peace, you cannot create peace through resistance. You simply can't. And as a Black woman, as someone living in Texas in 2020, there are lots of religious and social implications of a statement like that. One reason that I was almost afraid to say it, but I have to speak my truth. And the truth is that if you want peace, you have to go within yourself and create it. No one can else make it for you. Like, other countries can't make it for you. Other people can't make it for you. The government, the politicians can't create peace for you. Peace cannot be written down on a piece of paper and enforced. Peace doesn't need enforcement. Peace is practiced. And so if you want peace in your world, you are responsible for being a peacekeeper. And that starts with yourself. That starts with attaining your own peace, because we're all connected. We're all energy. We're all on the spectrum. And wherever you're vibrating, where your frequency is at, that's what you're co-creating in this plane that we're sharing. And I have decided that for me, I'm going to uplift myself and raise myself to the highest frequency possible, not only so I can enjoy the benefits, but because that is my ultimate task here as a light worker, as someone who is meant to help other people. I have to contribute to raising my vibrations so that I can raise the vibrations of my environment, and so that other people can have their vibrations lifted by proximity to me. And I mean, for those of you who are watching, and for those of you who this resonates with, I encourage you to look to make peace in your own life, because it is truly the only way to attain peace. Fighting only breeds more fighting. And, you know, in our language, we glorify fighting all the time. We sort of romanticize it. Like, you know, you gotta stand up and fight for what you believe. And maybe there's a time for that. You know, the universe is dual, right? And so with peace, there's also violence or war or fighting. But how are you going to create peace if you're on the opposite side of the spectrum? And so you have to think about what you're doing and what you're saying and what you're believing. And so for those of you who want peace, find it within yourself. It's already there. And for those of you still struggling with self-acceptance, I'm here for you. As I said, I've had quite a journey, and I'm sure you'll learn more about it as I continue to share and express myself through this medium. But She and the Serpent wouldn't exist if I wasn't taking steps forward in my personal journey. And I know that there are a million amazing projects waiting to be made by other people who are just waiting to step into their confidence and their self-belief. And I'm here to tell you that it's such an empowering step. And I'm still making it. I'm still making several steps forward. But we all have room to grow and improve. And I truly believe that so many people out there are capable of everything that they desire. They're just too busy listening to the wrong people. And you have to listen to yourself. And I mean, we're all each other, we're all ourselves, because together, collectively, we are the universe. And so if you're watching this means we are on the same frequency, which means this is a message from you to you, or from me to me. Listen to yourself. You already know what to do. And a project I'm really excited about is the intuitive guidance course that I'm working on, intuitive divinity guidance course, to help you embrace the divinity inside and to heal your life from the inside out. It's basically an ascendancy course, and I'm putting myself through it first as I create it, and I can tell you it's not easy. In the same way that all self-healing isn't easy, because it's super simple. You know, you get a little bit of information and you have a couple exercises to do, something to practice like meditation, or like affirmations. But our egos, whenever you live in the ego for so long, you think that that's your identity, you think that that's your life, and you forget about all the other options out there, all the other ways to be. And so this is a big deprogramming course. It's a way to deprogram the toxicity in your life and to program positivity. I'm excited to share it. I'm excited to be taking steps forward on it. I'm excited for so much. And now my baby has passed out, and I'm going to get him down to bed. I hope that this video has had something meaningful for you. I decided to just let myself talk normally. Not surprisingly, if you listen to what I said about the perfectionistic authoritarian upbringing and all that, I'm not quite willing to open my mouth unless I have something very articulate to say, unless I already have some idea of how I'm going to say it. But here I am on this journey with you, learning to do things intuitively, authentically, without fear of judgment or how they're going to be perceived. I send light and healing and love to all of you. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching if you're with me right now, and please keep watching for what is in store. I can't wait to share it with you. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or comments. I really do want to engage with you. And yeah, until next time, blessings upon you.